discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Reading the Ring, our wrestling book club. My name is Xavier. I'm the creator, I guess, and co-host of the New to Wrestling podcast. If you are unaware, if you're not coming here from there, it is a podcast that I host with my best friend Kelsey. She is new. She is the new and new to wrestling, and I do my damnedest to make wrestling make sense to her. We have a good time over there, so if you've never checked it out, please do. But in conjunction with that show, we do a wrestling book club. So two of my great loves are professional wrestling and reading. If I I'm in my room now, but I if I had to describe it for you, my room is like I want to say at least like 40% bookshelf. So, um, I love it. It's something that I tend to gab about anyway. So I figure why not bring you all along? So if you are here from last time, we read Do a Power Bomb, which is a graphic novel. Fantastic, but we're going in a completely different kind of ball game here, in that we are doing Becky Lynch, the man, not your average girl. And so far, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It just reads like a conversation. I honestly reads very similarly to um her interviews like in podcasts and things that I've seen previously. So this book of course, is going to tell her life story from starting out in Ireland, where there were no wrestling schools at first, and very few women doing what she was doing, and kind of how she evolves into what we know as the man, big time backs, Becky Two Belts. But yeah, so this book is separated into three seasons. I will go into them right now for you. It's season one, The Growing Years. It is season two, The Wander Years, and season three, Welcome to the Big Time. These aren't exactly equal sections. The first season and the second season look roughly about 100 pages. But the last one, season three, looks like it is closer to 200-ish or 150. So, relatively the same. But I figure if the book is separated that way, let's do it that way. So this week was season one, The Growing Years. And I have a bunch of notes. Please forgive me if I kind of am all over the place. I didn't really take notes while I was reading because I'm not exactly the best with foresight per se. More that I was kind of scribbling like a madman from memory, and then just kind of poking through the book to jog my memory on certain things. So this is the first season growing up in Ireland. She, shares a story about kind of like a bullying incident she runs into with kids in her neighborhood for being kind of a bigger girl. She was just kind of yeah, she's just somebody who's very it seems very family focused. Her obviously, your family are your first kind of influences. She says her dad was very much like the dreamer of the family. Her mom was the realist, the workaholic, the one. So she attributes like her father for giving her the ability to dream big, but she attributes a lot of that work ethic to achieve her dreams to her mother. And although they butt heads a lot growing up, she now kind of understands where she was coming from and what she like sacrificed to keep her family going. Her parents divorced relatively early on in life, but if you had asked her or her brother Ricky, they probably wouldn't have been able to tell you, because her mom actually moved their father in back in with them after the divorce, which I imagine was a very tense situation, as she kind of references throughout the book. But they really would have been none the wiser. According to her childhood, she was very happy. Her mother worked as a flight attendant, so she got to travel at a young age, which is not always the most common thing in the world. So she describes a Christmas in New York, right out of Home Alone, minus the abandonment issues. Um, but she attributes her love of wrestling to her brother Ricky. Um, he was a like a lapsed fan. They watched it when they were young. They get back into it. He gets back into it specifically around the height of the Attitude Era. Bing, bing, bing. If you're a big fan of the Attitude Era, watch our show. I'm showing Kelsey the Attitude Era right now. And so it's right when the WWF is beginning to be cool again. It's no longer super taboo to say that you like it, you're flipping the bird, you're telling your teacher to suck it, all that good stuff. And she remembers her attention being caught by Mick Foley in particular. And boy, if there is something that we relate to on this show, it is a shared love of Mick Foley, Nicholas, that guy, dude love, mankind, Cactus Jack, w- promos for days. We love Mick Foley. And obviously Becky did too. She could not kind of pass the room without kind of stopping to see what he had to say. There was something about the way that he was an atypical kind of wrestler. He didn't look like everybody else. He didn't sound like everybody else. But he was believable. And that was something that was a little bit more achievable. To a lot of people. So uh she kind of like was a begrudging fan. But she ends up tagging along with her brother because there is a school opening up kind of via like NWA Ireland, is what they're calling it. It's going to be opened by Paul Tracy and Fergal Devitt, better known as Finn Balor, which is insane. Um, and I kind of knew this just from knowing, bits and pieces of Becky's story, but this is just something else. Um, so they don't even have like a wrestling ring. They're just like wrestling on like, collegiate mats at first. She has to lie about her age because she's too young to actually do it. Her brother doesn't want her to, follow him around, obviously, as you do when you're an older sibling. But she does anyway. She lies. And just the way that she kind of goes about these sorts of things is just it's very amusing to read, because she's funny. She just kind of brings you along the journey in a kind of very easy to follow way. It makes sense. Obviously, right now it's chronological, it's very early days stuff, but you really get a sense of who she is under the character, which is a lot of fun to see because, you know, we get what we're presented on television. So to get to kind of hear a different voice of a character we know and see on TV all the time is very refreshing. So she follows her brother. She lies about her age. She loves it. She keeps going back. She tells her mother she's doing like taekwondo, as like an excuse to like get in better shape. Of course, that gets absolutely foiled when she shows up at home and neglects to cover up the ring rope bruises on her back. Because if you've ever heard wrestlers talk about running the ropes, it hurts. So your body's not used to it, and so it leaves a lot of marks. So her mom found out. She kind of some way, somehow, like talks her into it by basically kind of like ensuring her that it's like it's not a serious thing. Like it's just to like keep me in shape, and it's something that's interesting. Of course, her mother is, she's gonna worry. She's a mother. She doesn't want her to get hurt. This kind of sets up a lot of what is going to be their kind of future clashes as just kind of, a mother being a mother and uh Becky not wanting wanting to rebel, wanting to do her own thing, wanting to make her own mistakes. Um so we flash forward to when they have their first show, and Becky doesn't get booked on the show, not because she didn't put in the effort. She very much so did, and she was improving like week over week, but there weren't any other females to compete with at this time. And back then it was a lot less kosher as far as intergender matches go. So they didn't have anybody. So she actually had to debut as a valet or like a manager to her brother, which I'm sure she alludes to, him being absolutely thrilled by that fact also. Um, which is, hey, you do what you got to do when you're an older sibling. You may bitch and moan about it, but you're always gonna let him tag along, aren't you? It's just how it goes. So, she starts getting her foot like out there. She starts getting, sorry, her face out there. I guess her foot also. Um, she starts getting her face out there. She starts, she has her first match. Um, she has these kind of just along the way as she's an independent wrestler in Ireland, and there aren't a ton of women who are doing what she's doing, so she ends up in a lot of like intergender tag matches and just she's doing what she can to just get out there and get the experience. She's still loving it. She gets the opportunity on a show to work with Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and she accidentally kicks him, like not the way that she was learned to kick. He gets, of course, upset, like in the matches, like that is not how you do, how we kick people. And then she, at after the ordeal, gets through the match and goes up to like apologize to him, which she does like profusely, and then instead of continuing to be angry, he used that as an opportunity to teach her, which is crazy. During this time, she starts really developing this new goal of wrestling in Japan. Uh, she really didn't have a lot of like ambitions to head towards the WWE at this time. You got to remember during the time that she is training and learning to wrestle, she is seeing on the WWE programming that it is just, your bra and panties, your mud wrestling, your uh, you know, beauty pageants. Essentially, it's just not something that she wanted to subscribe to. She wanted to be taken seriously as a wrestler. That's what she was going for, and that's kind of like what her kind of North Star was, just not trying to do all of that. Of course, she gets the opportunity to go to Japan. She obviously takes it. During this time, her and Fergal start dating, which is I did not know about. Hey, you know, when you're in the game and you're around somebody all the time, it seems pretty natural that that would happen. So uh she goes to Japan. She's set up to be like a huge star by this promoter, like former wrestler Shima, and she's like really starts like kind of sipping her own Kool-Aid a little bit. So much so that she kind of gets herself into these like situations where she did like she gets offered to be like promoted by this one agency, and instead of kind of being loyal to Shima, who had like brought her in and kind of presented her as a star, she kind of went with the agency and ends up doing all these kind of like questionable photo shoots, questionable in that like it's not something she wanted to do, not that they were questionable, I guess generally. Um, so, one ends up in a like an adult magazine, and she's just like, this is not it. If my mother ever finds out about this, she is gonna send me to the Catholicest hell. So she kind of like leaves Japan feeling a little bit like dejected because she realizes that, all of the initial kind of like main event kind of status and stuff was not just of her own accord. There it was a team effort by the people who were promoting her. So she kind of just like goes through and she feels a little bit like soured on the experience. During this time, she kind of her career starts taking like somewhat of like a downward turn as far as there's, fewer and fewer bookings. The momentum isn't quite there the way that it was. She at this time starts like really focusing on her appearance and starts training to be like a bot in a bodybuilding competition. So she kind of goes from being this person, being like, yeah, being this person that like didn't want to be judged on her appearance to kind of literally putting herself in a competition to be judged by her appearance. And there's a lot of kind of, stuff you have to deal with when you make that kind of, flip-flop of a, something you said you'd never do, and now you're actively doing that. In preparing for that show, um, and just kind of this time period, she develops an eating disorder, which is, it's not uncommon when you're kind of in these uh especially if you're in the television world, if you're in just anything where you're going to be where the kind of the first and foremost thing you're judged for is the way that you look. It's not uncommon for people to develop eating disorders. So she really struggles with that because while she's kind of wasting away physically, she's also trying to continue to wrestle, and it hurts more because there just isn't as much padding. And she's like really struggling with that. And she's wrestling less frequently. So she's, a little bit less calloused. So she kind of like is in this like weird, like, is this what I want to be doing? Or like, what like I don't know where to go from here. She kind of sets a new goal of going to Orlando because in Orlando that's where TNA wrestling was out of at this time, and they were doing very cool things. Um so and they generally kind of have a history of treating their women more presenting them more as the athletes that they are, and less kind of focused on appearance. So that was kind of the goal. And she kind of literally like at one point like gets on like the plane to go, and she like does not want to go. She's like calling her mom, like, and her mom's just like, no, you can't come home. Like you kind of have like picked up and dropped a lot of these things in your life, and like this is not going to be like one of them. You have to kind of stick it out. So her mom won't let her come home, kind of going the tough love route. And then she eventually uses kind of uh a more minor injury as kind of an excuse to step away from wrestling. So that's kind of where I'm at so far. I'm literally only 100 pages in, but I read it in the last 2 days, over the last 2 days. So I figured I would come on record this while it's fresh. I'm very much so looking forward to kind of these lost years in the middle. Like what do you do? Because I know she mentions in other interviews and things that she stepped away from wrestling for like 7 years or something like that. So, as somebody who's done a lot of job hopping, and things of that nature in an attempt to find out what I am passionate about. I think I'm going to be able to relate to these chapters quite a bit, so stay tuned for what I have to say on that. But that's it, guys. I'm really, really excited about this. I hope it continues to be kind of an easy read. I can't imagine that, her writing style is suddenly going to change up. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It is, nice to read about somebody who has achieved such a level um that she has achieved. She's really broken a lot of barriers as far as like women's wrestling goes. But generally just being one of the most popular wrestlers out there right now. And the character she's doing right now, this like Donald Trump-esque troll kind of thing is so good. She's doing a fantastic job of creating another character for herself to kind of keep her her career fresh, but also elevating a lot of people along the way, which is just, you can't really get a better mark as far as like what's a great wrestler than somebody who lifts up everybody they're in the ring with. So I'm looking forward to it. My name is Xavier. This has been Reading the Ring, our wrestling book club. We're reading Becky Lynch, The Man, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.